The fluorescent lights flickered across the polished marble floors as the janitor knelt down, scrubbing away footprints that weren't his. His name was Daniel Hayes, a man wrapped in a faded blue uniform that smelled faintly of bleach and old dreams. In one hand, he held the mop that paid for his daughter's schoolbooks. In the other, the silent weight of a past he had buried deep beneath humility. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, stood nearby with her small hands clutching a drawing she had made for him, stick figures of her and Daddy smiling beneath a shining sun. But before she could hand it to him, a sharp voice cut through the hallway like glass that if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and that no job defines a person's worth, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this remind us of the power of humility, love, and hidden strength. Your father cleans up after important people. That's all he'll ever do. The words came from Miranda Steele, CEO of the prestigious Westbrook Medical Group. Dressed in a sharp black suit, her every step echoed confidence and control. Her red heels clicked against the floor as she stared down at Daniel, her voice cold, dismissive, and dripping with superiority. Around them, staff members froze, pretending to check their phones or shuffle papers, unwilling to interfere. Lily's wide, innocent eyes darted between her father and the woman towering over him. She didn't understand everything, but she knew what shame felt like. It looked like her father lowering his eyes, saying nothing, and gripping the mop just a little tighter. Daniel didn't defend himself. He didn't speak. He simply placed a hand on Lily's shoulder and whispered softly, "It's okay, sweetheart." But inside, his heart cracked. Every insult hurled at him wasn't just a wound to his pride. It was a stab at the little girl who believed her father was the bravest man in the world. He swallowed the pain because dignity, he had learned, was not about fighting back. It was about enduring with grace. What no one knew, not even Miranda Steele herself, was that this quiet janitor had once stood where she was. Years ago, Daniel Hayes had been Dr. Daniel Hayes, a world-class trauma surgeon and the youngest head of emergency medicine at the very same hospital. He had saved countless lives with his steady hands and brilliant mind. But when tragedy struck, when his wife, a nurse in his team, died during a high-risk surgery he had performed himself, his world collapsed. The media crucified him. The hospital board scapegoated him. And he vanished. He walked away from the world of prestige, from medicine, from everything, choosing instead to live quietly, anonymously, cleaning the same halls he once commanded. It wasn't punishment. It was penance. His only reason for living now was Lily, the daughter who had lost her mother and barely understood why her father never talked about her anymore. Each day, Daniel rose before dawn, packed Lily's lunch, and went to work pushing his mop cart through polished corridors, watching doctors and nurses rush by, some of whom still whispered about the legend he once was. But he didn't mind. He was at peace being invisible. That peace shattered one afternoon that a massive power surge struck the hospital, plunging several floors into chaos. Backup generators failed. The emergency ward lights flickered. The ICU monitors went dark. In the operating theater, a young boy, barely 10, lay open on the table. He was the son of Miranda Steele. The boy had collapsed earlier from a rare heart condition, and now, in the worst twist of fate, every piece of life support equipment around him failed at once. Miranda, who had always prided herself on control, now stood helpless as doctors scrambled in panic. The hospital's top cardiac surgeon was stuck in traffic due to the blackout chaos in the city. Every second ticked like a countdown. The child's pulse was fading. A nurse screamed for help. In that chaos, Daniel, mop in hand, standing by the door, froze as he heard the frantic calls for anyone who knew emergency procedures. His instincts flared. His heart pounded. For years, he had hidden behind silence, afraid of stepping back into the light. But then he saw Miranda's eyes, terrified, broken, begging for a miracle. And he saw her son's small chest rise and fall unevenly, life slipping away. That he dropped the mop. Without hesitation, Daniel pushed through the crowd, his voice cutting through the panic. "Get me a scalpel, clamps, and sterile gloves, now." The staff hesitated, confused. "He's the janitor," someone shouted. But the conviction in Daniel's tone left no room for doubt. Nurses moved. Instinct took over. In the blur of adrenaline, Daniel took control. His hands, once legendary in the operating room, moved with unshakable precision. He manually massaged the heart, stabilized the rhythm, and guided the emergency team through each step as though no time had passed. The moment stretched endlessly until the faint, rhythmic beeping of a heart monitor returned. The boy was alive, but Miranda's knees buckled as she covered her mouth, tears flooding her eyes. The doctors around stood frozen in awe. When Daniel finally stepped back, drenched in sweat, his blue janitor shirt clung to his chest, and that's when Miranda saw it. A jagged, surgical scar running from his shoulder down his ribcage. A scar only one person could have. The same Dr. Daniel Hayes who once made medical history by performing the first successful triple organ transplant in the hospital's history. Dr. Hayes, a nurse whispered, trembling. The name rippled through the room like an echo of a ghost. Miranda turned pale. You were him? Daniel said nothing. He simply looked down at his shaking hands, then at Lily, who stood at the door, watching her father not as a janitor, but as a hero. Afterward, the story spread through the hospital like wildfire. The man who had been mocked for cleaning floors was the same man who had once saved hundreds of lives. The hospital board scrambled to contact him. The media wanted interviews, and Miranda Steele couldn't look at herself in the mirror. She found Daniel the next morning sitting on a bench outside, tying Lily's shoelaces. He looked calm, peaceful, as though yesterday had been just another day at work. She approached hesitantly, her pride stripped away. I'm sorry, she whispered. I had no idea who you were. Daniel smiled faintly. It doesn't matter who I was. What matters is who I am now. My daughter deserves a father, not a ghost chasing redemption. Miranda nodded, her eyes glistening. You didn't just save my son. You reminded me what real greatness looks like. She offered him his old position back, promising to restore his name. But Daniel declined. He didn't need fame anymore. He had already reclaimed something far more precious. The pride in his daughter's eyes. That evening, as the sun set behind the hospital windows, Daniel carried Lily in his arms. She looked at him and whispered, Daddy, are you a hero? He smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. No, sweetheart. I'm just your dad. That's all I ever want to be. In that moment, the man once crushed by guilt finally found peace. Not through recognition, but through love. And those who had mocked him learned a truth that would echo long after. Never judge a person by their uniform, for beneath it may lie a heart that once carried the world.